Okay, and we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm SEO Jo Blogs. I'm the organizer of Search London and also SEO consultant as well as growth marketer at Authoritas. And here today we are joined by David Bain, author of Marketing Now.
Hello, SEO Jo Blogs. It is a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. You also are a cake sponsor of Search London's 9th birthday party, so thank you for that. And in the run-up for Search London's 9th birthday, David's going to be giving away some of his Marketing Now books. So you must be able to take part, answer some questions, and 9 books to give away for the 9th birthday party.
Absolutely, we're wondering the number beforehand, but we've firmed it up, I think.
So yes, those that answer the questions in the quickest time will then receive their own copy of Marketing Now at Search London, which is on February the 4th. Those that don't live in London and are not able to come, of course, David will send that to you. We don't want people to have FOMO. So thank you, David, for coming on board, where we're going to be asking you 6 steps from podcasting to publishing a book. So
sounds good.
You're probably
I look forward to it.
You're probably more used to being the interviewer than the interviewee.
I know. It's hard for me to sit back and not say anything at all. I just have to bite my tongue, but I'll sit here and do that.
So you have published Marketing Now. You've obviously published a book before that. And so I want to ask you some questions, really, because it's a massive achievement, really, to publish not just 1, but 2 books. So going back a few steps, when did you actually first get into podcasts?
Into podcasts?
Podcasting, I should say.
Podcasting. I was back in about 2005.
Oh.
So I think it was 2004 when iTunes first launched and became available, certainly on the PC as well as the Mac. And that really brought the possibility of doing podcasting into the mainstream. And before then, you used to be able to do things like create an RSS feed yourself and publish it, but the ability for people to consume it just wasn't there. So the launch of iTunes really brought the possibilities of podcasting forward. So it was a combination between that and then a couple of first footers, first movers moving into it. And actually, in November 2005, Ricky Gervais released a podcast through the Guardian website, and that became massively popular. Probably not as popular as a lot of podcasts nowadays, but I think that was one of the first things to really bring podcasting more into the mainstream.
Okay, so 2005 is when you first got into podcasting.
First became aware of podcasting. I actually launched my first podcast in 2006.
Okay. The first one in 2006. And who did you interview on your first podcast?
Well, back then, I mean, you don't have to interview people, of course, for podcasts. So back then I had a business articles website. So people used to submit business articles to me and actually read them out, recorded them as a podcast and published it as a podcast back then. Probably quite a boring podcast, but it was a good first bit of experience into podcasting.
Oh, that's great. And then, so when did you actually then publish your first book?
Well, physical copy book. It was February 2017. It was digital marketing in 2017. So for our video viewers, you can see this one here. Ooh. Wow, isn't that cool?
It's very cool. It's that's see-through.
No, that's actually what what a green screen does. So if you have a green book, then you can do that same thing as well. So I published Kindle books quite a bit before that, and obviously ebooks before that as well. But the first physical copy book, February 2017.
That's great. And obviously, you've got 2 books, including the Marketing Now one. So many people you have interviewed in this book. But in total, comparing this one and Digital Marketing 2017, how many people have you interviewed?
Well, yeah, so I essentially produced the books by interviewing people as part of a live stream, and I had a different person on virtually every 3 minutes or so. So for this book, Marketing Now, it's 134 people. For the previous book, 107 people. So that would be, if my maths is correct, 241 people in total.
That's a lot of people. How did
It
you
is.
get in touch with so many?
Too many. No, not too many. What I think the best way to go about producing that type of book is, and how I went about getting so many people on was simply through my podcast. Most people that are in the book, I did interview interview as part of a podcast episode. So it's a wonderful way of building real relationships with people and just evolving your network. The way I built that database was simply through podcasting and interviewing people.
And did you actually, how many of these 241 people did you meet in real life, in the flesh,
Oh, I haven't
before you
kept an
interviewed
exact
them?
number.
Like
I
10%?
probably, let's say 21.5%.
Ooh, so precise.
Let's something like that. I think most people I didn't meet before I interviewed them or had discussions with them online. But obviously, it's nice to meet people face to face. But it's not absolutely necessary. And I've maintained relationships with quite a few people and had them on other events and webinars through the years as well.
Well, that's great because you're kind of like mixing offline with online. So Search London, all of that pretty much is like offline. Everyone's at a location. Whereas how you've taken is you've done a lot of podcasts that obviously you do offline. Sometimes you do them live streaming, so that's online. And then things like the books, all that is offline. So I think that's a great combination, really.
Yeah, you got to do them both. I don't think either one is necessarily best, but I think a combination is best if possible. I think you've got to gravitate towards whatever medium is best for you individually. Some people prefer producing podcasts in terms of content. Some people prefer video, and you've got to do what is naturally right for you. But I think a combination between offline and online is ideal if possible.
Yeah, I think you're just about sort of getting that balance. So you have 2 books now. How long did it actually take you to publish? Let's say publish this book, and this is from when you have all the information. So you've already interviewed everyone, you've done all the spell checking. So how long does it take from when you're okay? This is all the correct information. I'd like to now publish my book.
I mean, from inception to publication, you're talking about a year, and that's roughly how long people should plan on it taking to produce a book, and that's how long it took me to do the whole thing. I could have done it much faster, but I think that it's a good amount of time to do things like planning a marketing campaign for the launch of the book, as well as all the editing, the proofreading, the designing of the cover, putting everything together, doing additional checks, writing promotional copy, getting testimonials in there as well. There's so many things that are part of the ball game.
You've got well, I'm very impressed by it. It's all very, very professional, like your other one as well. You said you also have a hard copy version too. Did you self-publish, or did you have to go through publishers?
Yes, I mean I self-published. I did a couple of training courses, but I self-published, which means that I went through KDP, which is Amazon's publishing platform, and I also used another third-party service called Ingram Spark to publish the hard copy. So that let me publish the book on a combination between Kindle, paperback, hard copy, and also other EPUB type formats for other devices.
And would you recommend that people go down the self-publishing route? I've heard a lot of people do that.
There are advantages and disadvantages. The key advantage is you're going to make more margin per copy sold. A disadvantage is you're probably going to have to do more of the grunt work yourself and figure out exactly what's best to do it. And you're going to have to come up with different launch plans as well. So there are pros and cons, and it depends what's right for you.
Yes, I think yes, with everything, different pros and cons. So the main one is obviously if you are self-publishing, then it's yes, you're doing a lot of it yourself, a lot of work, but then it's rewarding in that way as well, financially too.
Well, I wouldn't advise anyone to publish a book just for the money that you make out of publishing a book. So I'm talking about business books here. So you've got to think about things from a personal branding perspective. Is that going to be important to you? Are you wanting to do things like speak more in the future? Because a book can certainly help with that. And can a book fit into other areas of your content marketing mix? So if it can do that, then it's worthwhile thinking about planning a book and publishing one. But you don't want to be publishing one as a one-off that doesn't necessarily fit into other things that you do.
Oh yes, definitely. No, I know some people that do books and they've published books, and yes, they've gone through publishing houses, and I think that there can be a lot of red tape as well through that. So you've gone from publishing, from doing your podcasts, from interviewing a lot of people, and then now publishing a book. Can you share the 6 steps that you have from podcasting to publishing?
Sure, yeah. I mean, these are the steps looking back in it that I feel that I've taken. I didn't go out to create these steps before actually taking the first step. It's just looking back on things. If someone wants to do a similar kind of thing that I've done, then I'd probably recommend taking these steps. So firstly, starting off with creating a basic audio podcast. So you don't need anything kind of crazy together to begin with in terms of equipment. All you need is a decent, I would highly recommend, dynamic microphone, which is a certain type of microphone that has a small sweet spot that you want to be about 3 or 4 inches from. A decent microphone, an example of that is called the ATR 2100, or you can also get the Samsung Q2U. Those are 2 microphones that I really recommend. You can also get a windscreen or windshield, on top of the microphone, a boom arm. So all of that together is probably less than £100. And then you may want to have a webcam if you're going to be doing it on video as well. But you only just need to focus on audio to begin with. And obviously you need a way to record it as well. So you can use audio recording software called Squadcast.fm. Where you can interview someone and get a decent quality recording of their audio. So that's all you need to begin with. You obviously need to have an editing service or be able to edit the audio. And then you also need to publish the audio somewhere. So you can edit the audio either using a free tool called Audacity. You could use Adobe Audition, which is an expensive paid tool that's quite popular. It's quite a good tool. You can use another online tool that's up and coming, looks really good, called Alitu, ALITU.com.
We'll probably need to ask you to share some of those things in the chat as well later, or maybe we'll do a follow-up. So sounds like a lot of good software. So Audacity, Adobe, Altitude. So that's basically making sure step number 2, you've got good editing software. Was the first one. So, I mean, that was even the first step. The second step is actually to, once you're comfortable with the type of content that you're producing, your show type, moving up in terms of the quality of equipment that you've got and your ability to kind of edit and produce your whole show. So I'm now using a microphone called the Electro Voice RE20. I like that microphone. That's plugged into a dynamic voice channel. It's called the Art Voice channel, and that's got things like a compressor in there as well. A little bit more technical and nothing for you to even think about or worry about if you haven't
publish a podcast to begin with. Don't even go there to begin with. But once you've done 20 or so episodes, then think about increasing the quality of your audio that you're producing by doing that.
Okay, so good audio.
Yeah, you can also do things like enhance your show by incorporating intros and outros and bumpers, bumper noises as part of your show, as part of you recording it live, and then that's you producing the whole show live. It'll save you a little bit of time from post production by doing that as well. But don't do that to begin with. Just do what I recommended to begin with, and focus on getting the show up and running, getting comfortable with the structure of the show that you're producing. But only then, only after those initial 2 stages, I recommend really trying video, because there's no point in trying video or trying to get good at video unless you're producing decent quality audio. Because if you're producing good quality audio, then you're kind of comfortable with it and you don't have to think about it too much while you're doing it. So that's a good stage to start to think about doing things like looking directly into a camera and being able to do an introduction and a conclusion, and being able to engage with the guest a little bit, have a look to see how they're actually reacting to your questions. And so that's a nice thing to be able to do, but you don't want to be able to do that from the beginning. So those are the first 3 steps there. Have you got any thoughts on that, or do you want me to carry on there?
No, that's good. I was just trying to write them down. So the summary. So 1 is a great audio podcast. 2nd one is have good audio. And 3, once you've managed those 2, then is to do video.
Yeah, to do pre-recorded video. I'm not talking about live video yet. Just pre-recorded video. So that's less scary because you don't have a live audience in front of you, so you can muck up if you want to do that, and you can just focus on mastering the art of trying to produce reasonable video. Then after that, step 4 is producing live streamed video. So then you're moving on to engaging with a live audience, and as well as thinking about producing your show in video form, you're looking at the comments and you're perhaps interacting with the live audience and bringing some of their comments into the show that you're producing as well. So that's another skill level there as well. You're doing something that's probably a little bit more scary. You're going live, and you're also engaging with the audience as well. But to begin with, you're unlikely to have much of a live audience, simply because you haven't been focused on producing loads of shows to begin with. So yes, that's another reason why it's not absolutely necessary to go live to begin with. You might as well create a series to begin with. Step 5, in terms of what I've gone through, is I produced a virtual summit, so a series of virtual summits. I have hosted like online summits to over 8 hours, 9 hours or so in length, and then I've taken that content and used it to produce the book. But I've had over 100 people join me for those 8 hours, and had some incredible content shared. But again, unless you do a show for at least a year, you're probably not going to have the network in place to be able to invite people to come on as guests to appear in your virtual summit. So that's why it fits nicely into step 5 before publishing the book in step 6.
Publishing the book, yes. Well, I'm very impressed then, David, all the different steps that you've done. So just to recap, really, 6 steps for publishing a book is: number 1, create an audio podcast; 2, have good audio; 3, do pre-recorded video; 4, live stream; 5, a virtual summit; and then 6 is the book, the final step for publishing.
Completely equipped to take the message to one and all now, yes.
So, well, thank you very much, David, for having us. So, as I said at the beginning, we are giving away a few of David's Marketing Now books. Let me just show you as well. Voila.
Can I go voila?
You want to have? Yes, you can.
Voila.
Voila. So there are 9 books to celebrate Search London's 9th birthday. So we will be tweeting out some of the questions over on Twitter, and those that answer as quickly as possible will then have the opportunity of winning the book. And you can then pick up your own signed copy from David himself at Search London, February the 4th at 6 p.m.
There we go. That sounds wonderful. And I really look forward to the live event, because I've been to a few, obviously, in previous years, and it's a wonderful must go to event in London if you're a search marketer of any type, especially the organic persuasion. Then it's the the one of the key events that you absolutely have to attend, because it's not just about the quality of the content that's shared. It's about the networking, the fun that you can have as well, and the relationships that you can build for the long term.
Yes, well, thank you, David. And David Bain is sponsoring our Search London birthday cake as well. So it's going to be a big cake like last year, cookies and cream with a few little cupcakes on top. So please have a look at the meetup RSVP, and then you can collect your book, and we can see you there. I'll be sharing the link in the podcast. Sorry, in the YouTube.
Lauren 80 in the chat saying, woohoo, excited to attend.
Hello, Lauren. Oh, good. Well, that's great. Anyone else have any? Does anyone have any questions? Lauren, do you have any questions for us?
Well, and win a book. I think maybe Lauren should be banned from winning a book. What do you think?
No, I don't think she's had a book yet. Hello.
So this is quite impressive, actually. These series of Search London events that you've put on, Jo. I'm just wondering how you actually go about putting it together and putting so much time together. I mean, how much time does it take you to actually put on an event like this?
Well, since I came back from Australia in 2000 and I think it was 14? No, 15. Okay, I can't remember. But Tim's
I
been
came back
helping.
from Australia in 2014. I don't think we were on the same flight.
Oh, okay. Well, Tim's helped me to organize some of the events. Actually, he found this place for our party. It's called Bar Kick in Shoreditch. He went there before, so we found that. He found that, sorry. And in terms of speakers, well, it's some of the people that we know. But yes, it does take a bit of time to sort of to help organize and to sort of send the message out there and to get tickets sold. It's an independent event, so we want to put it at some venues in London, and it's you sort of have to. That's why we have tickets sold, and then we have sponsors as well to help us cover the bars, because London seems to like to charge a lot of minimum spend now. I think I don't know why. Maybe because
it's not
London.
A cheap city. Yes.
Yes. So it's great that we have so many people. We now have just over 2,300 members, and actually we have about six events a year actually now. So yes, really excited for the 9th birthday party coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks tomorrow.
2 weeks tomorrow. Wow. It's going to come quickly. Look forward to it.
Well, thank you very much, David, for joining us today, and thank you for our audience. We will be having this on my new YouTube channel, Turn Digi, so new things in 2020, and we will be sharing sharing the questions, and those reply with the answers. So it'll be through the Search London account, Twitter account. You then can win one of David Bain's Marketing Now books.
And if you're there, I might even deface it by signing it.
Add more value to it means David means.
Great to be on with you, Jo.
Okay, thank you very much, David. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.